The internet continues to change everything. While it's creating entire new industries and jobs, it's also putting a lot of people out of work and killing older business models. Accelerating the change is the rise of smartphones as a source of just about everything. It's a digital revolution, as profound as the Industrial Revolution, and we're right in the middle of it. So many things are now just a tap or swipe away. Ordering a pizza, checking the news, sharing a moment with a friend, or booking a flight. We can be nostalgic and try and assure ourselves that everything was better in the old days, but in most cases, the newer internet versions of old models are much better, more convenient, and cheaper, or even free. Here are 10 things that have been changed forever or completely killed off. There was a time when we spoke on a Bakelite receiver in a fixed location in our home. If you were really fancy, you had more than one phone in the house. Now the internet has delivered a myriad of mobile, more intuitive opportunities to communicate. Today's phones, slim pieces of metal and glass that keep us in touch with the world, can do a whole lot more than just chatting to Aunt Mary on her birthday. Now we don't pay for calls anymore, we pay for data. Hard copy publishing, once part of the mainstream triumvirate of print, radio and TV, is now truly niche. Expensive, late with the news, labour-intensive and environmentally unfriendly. Newspapers have gone the way of the record player and the dodo, and for good reason. News on the internet is a lot more accessible, easier to navigate, mostly free, and is almost instantaneous. There are more voices and a lot more news to choose from. There are some earnest, dogged newspaper publishers still plodding along with their daily and weekly issues, but this time the writing is on the wall. At some stage, the accountants will call an end to these vanity projects as the costs spiral and the revenue evaporates. The newer, more nimble, SEO-focused news businesses, large and small, are attracting the eyeballs of a growing number of news consumers. The other thing that threatens the old news model is social media, which delivers almost instant notifications of anything important to millions. Now anyone with a mobile phone has become the journalists of the 21st century. One of the darker corners of the new world of online connectivity is the loss of privacy. The price we've all paid for the astonishing convenience of the internet and free information. The point is, it's not quite free. There's been a price to pay. Once you register or subscribe for online services, the information you hand over becomes a commodity that has, in some cases, been weaponized and used against you and millions of others. The most alarming cases were the gaming of elections and important referenda, where clever online curators were able to buy swathes of private information and micro-target individuals with highly defined propaganda. Several key international votes were swung using these techniques. Although the internet giants are under a lot of pressure to contain the misuse of this private information, micro-targeting continues. The best antidote is better consumer awareness and education about how and why certain information and news is sent to you, and not to believe everything you read on the internet. For now, be careful what you post and understand that the personal information you publish online can be shared and sold. Netflix. One brand says it all. And the hugely popular online streaming service, and others, has almost completely killed the old cable business. Cable might still exist in some locations, but it's been superseded by a much more attractive and dynamic and better quality new range of online entertainment services. Hopefully it will slowly rid our landscape, particularly in Thailand, of the hideous black cabling lining our streets that is part of the older physical cable network. New providers and the monolith YouTube provide an almost endless range of visual entertainment without a cable in sight. It's not the first time the music industry has had to cope with change. From cylindrical drums to 7 and 12-inch records, to CDs, MP3 files, and now online streaming. Online music sharing services initially disrupted or panicked the music industry, and then iTunes and other paid services started to build a new, sustainable business model. One thing, sadly, remains the same. The artist is usually at the bottom of the food chain and the final recipient of any residual profits. But at least for the consumer, the quality is better, the variety is almost endless, the delivery is instant. And platforms like YouTube are now important distributors of music, where previous listeners now become viewers of music. Google, YouTube and iTunes are the new de facto record companies and are the source of a huge library of music of all styles, from the past as well as all the new stuff. The dynamic also means that if you don't have fabulous visuals to go with your music, you're unlikely to reach a profitable audience. Old porn magazines. New Pornhub.com and a million other online services. Out of the top 10 most searched for topics on the internet, 4 are for porn sites. Enough said. We used to go to our local travel agent in person, flick through the glossy brochures, and then consult with our experienced travel agent before they booked the flights and accommodation. All that booking stuff was done by a pleasant travel agent who charged a commission for their services. Now our smartphones and laptops are our travel agents, and review apps are our guide to where to go and other travellers rating the services. Everything for your next holiday can now be done on the internet. Travel agents have become a luxury rather than a necessity. Of course, some people will still like to get all the details sorted by someone else, so some bespoke travel agents will continue to exist. The travel industry, probably more than any other, has been hard hit by the COVID crisis, and world travel will continue to go through existential changes over the next few decades. Mention Encyclopedia, and most people under the age of 30 will have no idea what you're talking about. One of the early additions to the World Wide Web was Wikipedia, where you can find all sorts of information about almost anything, instantly, without having to wade through 20 heavy hard copy encyclopedias that took up 3 bookshelves in the living room. Information is now free, increasingly accurate, sometimes fluid, regularly updated, and resource-rich. In 2012, Encyclopedia Britannica halted publishing after 244 years. The set of encyclopedias took up a lot of space and cost well over $1,000. Wikipedia is free, or just ask Alexa or Siri. When was the last time you got out a printed map or street directory? Google Maps and a few other specialist mapping services have almost rid the world of those impossible to refold paper maps. You don't have to be a cartographer these days, and the internet-based map services will usually talk to you in a selection of accents and languages to tell you where to go. Old printed maps probably caused as many accidents and arguments as the number of destinations they were meant to help you find. Apart from a few dead ends, the modern online map apps are constantly updated and can also tell us the traffic conditions along the route, suggest alternatives, and tell us how long it will take to get there. They're not dead, but they sure have evolved with the help of the internet. For a start, meeting people is a whole new world. Gone are the dingy bars with loud music and expensive drinks. Now people use apps to meet people with a "hey" followed by a pic. Whilst all this seems somehow impersonal, the world is now connected and chatting in a whole new way. People relate to each other seamlessly across borders, cheaply. People who have found it difficult to meet people and access information in the past now have an entire world of new friends and relationships waiting. Not all of them good, and not all of them real. But this new interconnectivity surely vastly outweighs our tiny circle of acquaintances of the past. New types of relationships will bring new problems and new opportunities. The learning curve is now how to take advantage of the new connectivity whilst avoiding the pitfalls. In that way, personal relationships will still remain challenging. Internet connectivity will increase, become more available, faster and cheaper. It's here to stay, and we all need to accept that some old business models have gone forever and embrace an exciting, new, connected future.